What is going on, Klansman? I'm your blackface of horror, Sean Bash, and today I am back with another tier list maker video, basically highlighting all of the Friday the 13th franchise installments. Now, I had a lot of fun covering the final girls of the franchise, especially with my busy schedule, with everything that I'm doing in my personal life. I don't necessarily have time to really give you the in-depth, highest quality videos and put them out in a consistent manner as of right now. I had a lot of fun doing the tier maker list. It was just a good time just to sit back and just talk about the things I love. Really laid back, no pomp and circumstance, just me in the raw, deep in that pussy. Now, now this will also kind of make up for the fact that I never did a Friday the 13th franchise ranking video, which I was supposed to do like back in 2016. So I'll be sort of killing two birds with one stone. So pretty much the criteria that I'm going to be using is, well, just how willing I am to rewatch the particular film, maybe the kills, and just my overall enjoyment with the franchise. And I'm going to try my best to put my favoritism aside and just be as honest and fair in all of my rankings. So, without further ado, let's get to the tier. Okay, first up, the original Friday the 13th. Now, I have no idea how I went through a majority of my adult life and didn't sit down and actually watch the original Friday the 13th all the way through until I actually started this channel. I remember seeing it on AMC Fear Fest growing up, but I was always turned off to it because I was so used to just watching Jason, especially since I watched 4 and 6 a lot growing up. So I was like, this one doesn't have Jason in it, I'll just skip it. Now, once again, made this channel, watched it for the first time, had no idea what to really expect, and after I watched the movie, I actually had a decent amount of enjoyment. It did pretty well when it came to giving Ned, it did pretty well in giving me a couple characters that I actually ended up liking a lot. One of which was Ned, even though I feel like he didn't last that long in the movie, so I kind of got a little disappointed once he died, especially since his death was nothing special. Now, once Betsy Palmer got on the screen, that's when shit really ramped up for me emotionally when I watched the movie. She did such a good job at just being incredibly unsettling as a character. She was batshit crazy. Kill her, mommy! Kill her! Like, yo, that bitch is fucking nuts! But I loved it. So, now the original Friday the 13th, I will give it a B. Honestly, some of the kills are pretty straightforward, but the makeup work is fantastic. Okay, so now we have part 2. Now, it gave me Mark. Okay, I love Mark as a character. Ginny is one of the better final girls in the series at this point, but the pacing is painfully slow. Nothing happens. Jason's look is really great, but obviously we know that it was inspired by the town that dreaded sundown, the Phantom Killer in Texarkana, is it? I think the town was. It was a real life killer that has not been caught till this day because he had a sack over his head. The look is cool, but Jason's really silly, especially seeing him getting overpowered so easily, and that one moment where he like fell off that stool, the chair that he was sitting on during the climax, that was really shitty. But I really like the fact that they highlighted Ginny as a final girl and gave her better characteristics than they gave Alice, because Alice didn't get that much shine in the last movie. But once again, the pacing really hurt it, and the movie was overall pretty fucking boring. So unfortunately, I gotta give it a D. It was painfully slow, and Jason just was not fully developed for me to really latch on and say, oh my god, wow, this dude's been a savage since day one, because that's not the case. Now, part 3. It's middle of the road. It's very iconic since that's the movie where, of course, Jason gets the hockey mask. But the issue is a lot of the characters are not memorable at all. I can only name a few off the top of my head, and that's because I just did the Final Girl tier videos. Fucking Shelly is okay. Once again, I got confused between Vera and Chris. Chris was the final girl, but we didn't spend that much time with her. It's just pretty corny. For the most part, especially when it comes to the 3D aspect of it. Fuck. It really makes me feel nothing, unfortunately. So let me go ahead and find the, okay, there it is. So, now comparing it to part 2 though, the pacing wasn't nearly as bad. Jason definitely is a lot more creepier in this movie. He's got a very sinister look when he has the mask off. So, just the simple fact that I enjoyed it a little bit better than part 2, but I definitely don't think it's as good as the first movie. So I would have to give it a C. Now, moving on to Friday the 13th, the final chapter. I remember us getting this on VHS, renting it from a Hollywood video store in the early 90s, and all I can vaguely recall was constantly rewinding the part just before Trish knocks Jason's mask off at the end, and just rewatching that moment over and over again. Now, fast forward to when I watched it fairly recently, and this was probably my favorite version of Jason before he became a zombie. Well, this is hands down the best human Jason thus far in the franchise. You've got great characters, aside from Tommy Jarvis, Trish Jarvis, fuck her. And also you have the dead fucks and the group of kids in this movie. They are definitely a better bunch than what has been developed in any other movie when I really think about it. Fantastic kills, great performance by Jason in this movie. Fantastic makeup, a lot of really iconic moments. So I'm going to have to give this one a superior. Now, A New Beginning. Oh, A New Beginning. What the fuck happened here? They tried it. And they really tried it. But what the fuck happened to Tommy Jarvis's character? Why did he only say 11 words? Ethel was a great character. Every time she spoke, I laughed. The kills were incredibly lackluster. The characters as a whole fucking suck, except for Demon, who had the biggest impact on me and such a limited amount of camera time. But other than that, though, the setup, the whole motive behind this whole thing was painfully stupid, and it was really difficult to sit there and watch this. So, with that being said, unfortunately, I think I'm gonna have to. I gotta give this one an F. Honestly, I can't sit here and watch through this movie at all. Like, I always dread having to put this in the DVD player or my PlayStation or laptop or whatever. Next up, Part 6, Jason Lives. This one is clearly a favorite of mine, but I have to take my favoritism out of consideration for its rankings. But you gave me some of the best characters. Tommy Jarvis here is freaking amazing. Megan as a final girl is freaking amazing. You've got some of the best camp counselors as a whole. I love how meta this movie is, and it doesn't take itself too seriously, but it's not to the point where the horror is dumbed down or watered down at any point. This one mixes the funny lightheartedness of the movie and the suspense and horror aspects, and it meshes really well. There were times where I was busted out laughing, and then there were other times where I was genuinely scared. And the movie did a fantastic job of developing both sides to the point where one doesn't water down the other. So, with that being said, superior. Okay. Now, part 7. Man, I hate the fact that the MPAA stripped this down so much. Part 7's Jason had my favorite look. Till this day, I love Jason's overall look. Kane Hodder, of course, playing Jason for the first time, and he became one of the more iconic actors to portray this character. I just hate the fact that the kills are so freaking bogged down and watered down. It really killed a lot of this potential. But this movie also did something new when it came to introducing magic for the first time, actually. When we have the final girl, Tina, and her carry powers, or telekinesis powers, she did great. I love just how different this movie was. The biggest issue is once again, the MPAA's interference in watering down this movie. The climax was fucking horrible when her father pops out and drags Jason down to the bottom of the lake again. But honestly, even with all that, I'm baffled that it took me this long to actually sit down and watch this movie. Like, of all the times I saw AMC Fear Fest, I never actually watched this ever until recently. But despite all the small issues I did have with it, I'll actually give part 7 an A, honestly, even though a lot of the characters are not very memorable, but I like what they did in just trying something new, especially after following part 6, which was so impactful for the franchise. So it's a really good follow-up to that movie. Okay, so now we got part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan, which pains me because I remember growing up and absolutely loving this movie. This was always one of my favorites, mainly because it was cool seeing Jason in Manhattan for the limited amount of time that you actually saw him in New York. Only because I'm from New Jersey, so it was really cool seeing him be so close to where I am. So just having him here was really near and dear to my heart. Now, once again, fast forward to 2016 when I started this channel. 2017, wow, fucking stupid. Man, oh man. Oh, how far this one has fallen out of favor with me. Everything is so disjointed. The story is so fucking stupid. Jason's got a great look, but goddamn is this movie just so bad and so fucking corny. It's boring, I can't sit through it, and it gives me a really bad feeling in my stomach. Pretty good soundtrack though, but other than that though, Jason Takes Manhattan, the only thing keeping it from landing it at F tier is one, my nostalgia from seeing him in the Times Square spot, and Julius. That's the only two factors that are keeping me from giving this an F. Jason Takes Manhattan! Sorry. Jason Goes to Hell! My bad. Boy, was this one bad. Fucking boring, stupid. What they did with taking Jason out of it and introducing all this bullshit about a magic dagger and all that. This was just not it. I can't fucking believe they had the audacity to make this movie and introduce the elements when it comes to being reborn through a family member and him body hopping. Like, no, I can't, man. Like, this is an F. I'm sorry. The runtime just makes this feel like the movie's like 3 or 4 hours long. Like, I cannot sit through it and I cannot stomach it at all. Jason Goes to Hell belongs in hell. Now, Jason X. Now, Rowan is fantastic. I love the comedy relief. This movie doesn't take itself too seriously. And after watching Jason Goes to Hell, I'm so glad that I was able to find any kind of enjoyment after watching that piece of shit movie. I love the part where Jason gets modified. I remember seeing the movie in theaters, and I was in the 5th grade, I believe, when this came out, and I remember seeing all the trailers, like, Jason's been modified. That's just the one moment I could not wait to see when I went to go see that movie with my mom and stepdad at the time. And even till this day, I have a good time watching the movie because of just how it's modern campiness. That's the best way I can really describe it. Once again, doesn't take itself too seriously. And I will always have a decent level of enjoyment when watching this movie. And honestly, I think I'll give it a B. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I'm giving this bitch an A. I fucking love Jason X. I can't help it. Just the kills, the performances, everything was great. And there was so many funny moments in this movie, whether they were intentional or unintentional. I loved everything about this. So yeah, Jason X definitive is an A. Freddy vs. Jason. Now, quick backstory. I remember getting Halloween Resurrection from Blockbuster or Hollywood Video, and my brother, he wrote a letter to, I forgot which company had the rights to it back then. Can't really think of it off the top of my head, but he wrote a letter to them saying, hey, we need to get Jason vs. Michael Myers. And I remember watching him sit at the kitchen counter and pitch this movie idea to him. Like, yeah, just have fucking Jason mow his way through Crystal Lake, Michael Myers mow his way through Haddonfield, and they meet. And I don't really remember any more of the details because that was a really long time ago when that happened. 2003, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But this one was a surprise, and I remember watching 106 in Park, I think, and they said, hey, Freddy vs. Jason is coming out, and I actually believed when I was that young that my brother was the reason why this movie was being made, because I remember seeing him write this movie pitch, and then for this one to come out, I said, oh my god, you gave Friday the 13th Studios or whatever an idea in putting Jason against another horror movie killer. So I could not wait for my brother to get home so I can tell him what I saw and what I heard on the television about Freddy vs. Jason. And so I watched it in theaters and I had a good time. But then I watched it a few years ago, and yeah, no, this isn't necessarily a good Friday the 13th movie. It's more of a Nightmare on Elm Street movie. Jason ain't Jason here. He's just this big lumbering dude who's just here to pad the body count real quick. The kills are stupid. There's no actual intimidation behind Jason at all. I don't like his look. He just looks like a hobo, honestly. There's nothing scary or intimidating about Ken Kersinger's Jason, which of course you guys know I had that one video where I said which version of Jason would best fit in Freddy vs. Jason, which one would be a better replacement for Ken Kersinger, which that video, you can go ahead, I think I'll leave a video, I'll leave a link for that video in the description box below. So, with that being said, Freddy vs. Jason, it's boring. I do like some of the comedy here, but this one did a huge disservice to the Friday the 13th legacy and lore. So a lot of this stuff cannot be forgiven. And, oh God, it's gonna pain me to do this, but Freddy vs. Jason is an F. It's just not good. I can't do it. In context to everything relating to the Friday the 13th franchise, I felt like it gave me a really bad feeling, similar to what Jason Goes to Hell did to me. Just like, what the fuck are you guys thinking? This is not Jason, this is not what should be done, and this is not what should be said. And without further ado, the reboot. Now, I did see this in high school with my sister, and I had a really good time in the movie theater watching it. It was cool what they did with the Jason character and giving him another arsenal and giving him more characteristics, being a hunter, being athletic, being able to run and just be this ultimate predator and setting up this campground as one big trap. I love that. Now, I think the only thing, well, for starters, we all know my least favorite part of this movie. And my least favorite detail is that Jenna was killed. Hashtag justice for Jenna is still a thing. Fuck Whitney. Not my final girl. This movie's okay. There's nothing special besides Derek Mears' portrayal of Jason, which is great. But surface level characters, very good kills. I'll give the kills are fantastic, and there are actually a lot of genuine scary and suspenseful moments in this movie that I still find to be a little unsettling to this day. Now, with that being said, the reboot is it's another middle of the road. It's nothing too great, but it's not too bad. They did something new, and they succeeded at it. They succeeded at it relatively. Succeeded at it. Now, with all that being said, I will leave a link to this tier in the description box below. In the comment section, tell me if you're going to be making a video using this tier here. I will love to watch it. And also, guys, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a big thumbs up. I truly appreciate it. And make sure you subscribe to join the Killer Kountdown clan. Just don't go burning any crosses now.